Welcome to another episode of Opinionated Off-topic. Today I'm with my co-host Carlos Mojica and my homie Shonee Jackson. Also, quick announcement, if you guys haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe on all platforms. Subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, rate us a 5-star. Do all that stuff. Help us get in the algorithm. And yeah, without further ado, we're going to jump right in this podcast. Like Carlos, started off as always, how he always starts it off.
Scared. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Just for the way he's chopped. Why?
I got a haircut finally.
I know, you looking smooth, dude. You don't got them lamb chops on your face.
I was out here looking bummy.
I get rolling. I got a 9:45 appointment, East Austin.
Sheesh, busy guy.
Busy guy.
Yeah. Perfect.
Well, we'll jump right into it. Tell us who you are, a little bit about yourself, where you come from, a little backstory.
No problem. I'm Shonee Jackson. I was raised in Georgetown, Texas. First and foremost, I believe in Jesus Christ, and that's very important to me, and I love people. Those are the two most things I value most in my life and my family. I love sports. I'm at CAM training, at Sacrifice Training with Bryson Tucker. Shout out Bryson. And then I'm a part owner in a rideshare platform called Wridz, W-R-I-D-Z. We'll get into that, what we do, what makes us differently and whatnot, but go download our platform on all apps, all phones, Androids, iPhones. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and that's what we're here for. Let's get it.
Yes, sir.
Let's get it. Well, before Wridz, before everything else, just kind of start us off about go more in depth about your upbringing, like your childhood, like how was that?
Yeah, man, I had a great upbringing. I had great parents, great family, great coaches and mentors in my life. Really grew up in a great area in Georgetown. Played football, baseball, a little bit of boxing. And essentially through that really built me, cultured me, and led me down that path of just like my passion for people. And that could really, I can go on all day about that. But in general, I think that we all matter. I think that we're all here for a reason. I think that everybody in the room should always be acknowledged. So I don't really know. You can ask me some questions. I don't want to talk too much about myself, but
that's
essentially my background. Georgetown,
so
Texas.
We're here for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Georgetown, Texas. Shonee Jackson, sports.
So
people.
When you were training with Cam and whatnot, were you still playing all the sports, or was it just
I was playing football. We were seniors. So we were seniors.
What position did you play?
I played safety and corner. I was a DB. So I was with Cam like twice a week. We really hit it off. We became boys. And then through that, I really learned so much outside of football, just how to attack your everyday job, how to attack it when there's adversity, how to get up every single day and punch that clock even when you don't want to. Learned a lot of that with Bryson. We went through a lot of adversity together, good and bad. I think adversity is a great thing. I think at the other end of that, there's always a purpose behind that curtain. And so I think that, through those days of training and playing and the ups, the high highs, and the low lows, it really shaped me into the man that I am today. And us, and I think just what we believe in, and that's why I'm here. I want to support y'all's podcast just the way y'all are supporting me. And I think that, through the journey in life, through the people you meet, it can mold you or it can break you. And I think that, we're all here to mold each other. And that's what I look forward to doing every single day of my life, more so than just accomplishing things in sports or accomplishing things in the corporate world, if you will. I want to accomplish things with people and change the world around me while I'm here for a short period of time.
And it's kind of what this is for. Everybody we bring on, it's just a platform for them, Sure, like we can have on the biggest person or nobody, but we care about just the guest and letting them get out what they want to get out.
Right. It's day by day, and that's great. And I think we live in a society where we got all these platforms, and I think a lot of times they're looked at to be toxic, they're looked at to be negative, and they can make you feel negative. But I think that with the opportunity, we could use it for good. It could be very good. You can connect with anybody. You could tell your story to anybody, and your story matters, and you don't know what someone else is going through out there. And so when they hear you and they hear the struggle that you're going through, or vice versa, the struggle you came through and the other end that you're at now to succeed, I think it could change a lot. And so I think that the opportunity you guys have with the Opinionated podcast and the platform that y'all have created, it could really explode, not just for yourself financially or whatever it is that y'all shoot to aim for, but it could explode in just the world around you and the people around you and how you're going to affect them by having them on here and giving that opportunity. And I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. And just just kind of me and you were in the same boat, you know, when we were training and stuff together in high school, especially the latter years when we were both seniors done playing. We both kind of didn't know where we were going to go college-wise. So that's really when we got close, is because it's a very scary thing. You know, you've been playing football your whole life and you don't have a set home and you're just like, where am I going to go?
Right.
You know, you're still busting your ass day to day.
Right.
Going through the whole recruiting process. Like, we're both like you were bigger than me in high school, but we were a little undersized, measurables, whatever the case was. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And, you know, just kind of going through it. I guess talk to me about what your journey was. I'm not really too familiar. I know you went up to a school and then came back, but talk to me about that.
I was going to ask you played college ball.
I got on with Bryce after my senior year had already ended. We had begun to train, and that was when my recruitment began to pick up a little bit. And so I wanted to play at the highest level possible. Like I said, I grew late, so my 40 time had sprung up tremendously. I was, training with kids that were going to play at Power 5 programs, and not only hanging with them, I was rolling with, I was doing good. And so I had, the highest dreams, and probably, just like anybody, you dream your whole life. You grow up in the state of Texas, you grow up watching football and the Cowboys and all that stuff, and that's all you ever think about. That's all you ever know. I wasn't, there's that old saying, I think Riff Raff said it, we quit school for recess. So it's like, I was like that. I didn't care about anything other than sports. It was football. And so on that side of things, when we had begun to train and things were looking blurry, if you will, of like what I was going to do, like he said, Cam and I connected and Bryce connected, because Bryson at the time was actually just came back from the Canadian Football League. He hadn't shut the door all the way on playing. So we had this connection of just, we're waking up every single day, training 2 hours a day. I was coming back at night, and then we were talking, and he was meal prepping for me and doing all this stuff, to where Bryce really became a father figure in my life. Although I have a great father, Bryce became a father figure in my life and a huge mentor, and he was mentoring us and molding us at a very important time in our life where, like he said, 18 years old, super impressionable. You got all these dreams, but, you become real insecure. You could become frustrated and start to doubt yourself. And I think through that time, being able to witness Bryson going through that literally himself, but also showing up. I used to wake him up in the morning when I got to the facility because he would sleep there. Yeah. I used to wake him up, and he started training me, and he wouldn't be done until like 11 o'clock at night. And now you see his facility now and where it's come from. So I saw what it does, just commitment to your dreams, commitment to your goals, commitment to the life that you committed to, and his commitment to his wife and his family, and how all of that manifested into what it is today. I think that was able to shape us during that season. And so at that time, I actually went up, I played a little JUCO football up in North Dakota, and I came home after that first season, and I was training with Bryson again, and I was kind of going through this mental thing of like, where am I going to go? I'm not going back there. I need to be down south, and I'm either going to play at this level or I'm not. And as time went on through that off season, I kind of realized that wasn't going to happen. And I continued to train with him just for the reason I enjoyed it. I wanted my body to stay in good shape, made me feel better about myself. But through that, the relationships I built, training with him, relationships I built through church, like I said, about my faith and the sanctuary, if you will, I was able to get an opportunity on a real estate team called the Heil Group out in Westlake. I was probably 21 years old at the time, and I worked with them for 2.5, 3 years. I walked into that interview, a man by the name of Andrew Cavazos, and he essentially told me when the interview was over, look, I gave you an interview because your friend that works for me has a lot of respect for me, and I just was going to honor him and give you that interview. You did so well in this interview, I'm going to give you a chance. You'll have 6 weeks. I'll know in 6 weeks if you can do this or not. Worked for him for 2.5 years. That gave me an opportunity. COVID hit, kind of blew up the whole scene. It didn't hurt real estate, but it hurt a lot of people involved in real estate. And so we had lost a lot of accounts. I kind of went into the sales side of things and became like a sales trainer, if you will, because it was more consistency. I was kind of done with the weekends, the everyday struggle that real estate is. Going back to my love for people, it took away a lot for me of just connecting with people and being around my people all the time. So I wanted something more consistent. I became a sales trainer. Well, the COVID world hit, and we lost a lot of accounts. A lot of people lost their jobs overnight. That kind of shook me up. So I kind of wanted to take a step outside of that. And I ended up working and consulting with a team out of South Carolina for like 2 months last summer. As that was going on, we were building this rideshare platform, my cousin had been working on it for close to 5 years. He's the founder. His name's Steve Wright. And we had a lot of owners come in and invest, if you will, and yet they're not investors. They're owners of the cities that they own. Think of it like a franchise. Every individual owner, they set their price for their subscription. We're a subscription-based platform. We charge you a subscription per month to drive for us. And outside of that, you make 100% of your fares, fees, and tips. We don't touch a dollar that comes to you from the rider. Your first month is free, so you'll pay the subscription because it's going to pay for itself. I can show you guys a graphic of the 3 rides I took in Austin a few weeks ago. It came out to a total of like $140 after tips. That's 3 rides your subscription's paid for. The rest is cake the rest of the month. On top of that, on the rider side, we're safer. We drug test for amphetamines, and we background check every single driver that we have. The other guys, our competitors, I won't say them by name, they don't do stuff like that. Our drivers are 100% insured by us, and we're a software platform. Think of it like Bumble, if you will, for riders and drivers to get connected and ride together. We're up to 10% cheaper in Uber and Lyft, and we never price surge. If you go to ACL and your Uber to ACL was $40 there, it's going to be $40 back to the house. We have a calling card system. It flashes the Wridz logo through the windshield with a number. So you know how it is when you're downtown or you're anywhere and it's hard to find your ride and it'll cancel over and over again, or somebody will steal it, whatever it is. Can't steal it because there's going to be a flashing number that's going to be your number, say the number 37 hypothetically. Then you're going to walk up, there's going to be a barcode that you scan on the windshield. It'll show your driver's face and confirm your ride. So we've taken steps that others haven't taken, not only to make it easier and more convenient, but we are cheaper, we are safer, and our drivers are going to make a lot more money. We can double, triple, quadruple your income depending on what you put into it. And you pay us one time a month.
How long have you been doing that?
So I am an owner of the state of Arizona. Me and my father, and then Bryson Tucker's a part owner in the state of Arizona now. So we haven't launched in the state of Arizona, but Austin has been launched for 2 months now. In total, I've been working with the Wridz team since August 21. My cousin's been working on it for 5 years, and other people have been involved in that. The tech guys basically the whole time. The app development part of that's not my expertise. I won't talk too much about it, but it took a very long time. It was very hard to do, and that's an everyday grind. So those guys make everything work for this company, and they've been at it for about 5 years, I would say.
It takes a long time to develop an app, especially something like that.
100%. There's so many
probably
problems.
Not fun.
Yeah.
Probably not fun at all.
Yeah, not at all. When you got to ping a driver every inch that they move and calculate all that numbers, it's very hard. Not for me.
Yeah, that coding is something else.
Not for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, I quit school for recess, so did all that.
No, that's crazy. I mean, just going in. I remember when we finally reconnected after so many years, you were just telling me about all that stuff you got going on, and just getting into that. Have you always had that entrepreneur mindset after playing, or did it just kind of come with real estate?
I think even while I was playing, obviously, man, I love sports. I love football. I wanted to do as much as I could with it, and just like all of us, probably thought about coaching at times or being a trainer at times. And not to say that I ever lost that interest.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
One of the biggest things that might even got me in trouble a lot as a player in high school and whatnot was just I don't want to work for the man, really, and it's not just necessarily that, but not to say none of it's pride and it's all bad, it's all good. It's not all good, but at the same time, I have a very alpha personality.
Yeah.
And I like to take charge of situations. I like to be in control of as much as I could possibly be in control of in my life. Not that I'm in control of everything Wridz, but I'm absolutely in control of what I own. And I love that. Every owner has the ability to set their own price point for their subscription per month of where they live at or wherever they own at.
Gotcha.
And we have the control to do all of our advertising, all of our marketing, all of that. And I love that. And just like I had said earlier, we're here to change the world. We're here to make the movement. Like I said, I have faith in Jesus Christ. So I think I'm here to move the kingdom of God and populate that. If I have the opportunity, and I'm only speaking for myself, if I have the opportunity to do that through this Wridz platform, to not only make that movement, but just make hypothetically the city of Phoenix better, to create more jobs, to create rideshare, make it safer, make it better, make it more efficient, not only for the drivers, but for the riders. We're making a change, and then the opportunity that I'll have with whatever I receive through that, will give me the opportunity to do all these other things I dream of doing, like podcasting and like creating my own platform one day to talk about the things I'm interested in and to give opportunities. You know, my Instagram bio is pay my guys. It's a joke. That's my sense of humor, but at the same time, that's what it's about. My family, my closest friends, I want everybody to make it. Yeah. And if I can do something to impact that and move us in a step in that direction, then I'm going to do everything in my power to do so. And at the same time, it's a bonus to be my own boss.
Absolutely. There's nothing more fulfilling when you can like put someone on or like help someone out and do it the right way. You know, there's a lot of people in society, and just, you know, kind of the situation I was talking about off camera, just there's a lot of people that they hear what you have to offer and that's what they want. Yeah. What's been crazy is I was telling you about my friends in Arizona. Like Carlos had never met any of them. He meets them, the energy you can just feel. The CJ is off camera. Like everyone who's met them has all had the same perception, and like that's kind of like the reason with the platform and just having you on and stuff like that. That's where I want to take it myself personally, and Carlos too. Like being able to just have you just hear what we've heard so far and just kind of you going in depth about everything just really shows that, at least for our age, because I think a lot of people our age are doing something crazy different, and that's really was starting this. You can look around and honestly, there's more young people than ever doing what they want to do, taking charge. And I think it's just because we can now. We're not in the same, you know, situation as our parents where, you know, you go to school, you get a good job, and you work till 55, 60, you retire, you have maybe 10 years of good health to enjoy your retirement. It's like, why not start at a younger age, build the life you want, retire by like 30, 35, not retire because, you know, as you know, with Wridz, and we'll talk about that a little later, it's a full-time job. Like, like I don't know what like your stuff you have to do later is, but I'm sure like you work on that stuff. Right. Like what, 12-hour days. You have
a combination of people, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, a lot to unpack there, but just to start off with the people thing again. Yeah. Acknowledge everybody that comes in the room. I'm a big believer in that. Everybody that walks in the room, acknowledge them in some way. Obviously, you don't know what's going on with them. You know, it could help them. It could save them, literally. And on the other side of that, you don't know who they are and how they can help you and save you, literally. I've had jobs in my life, opportunities in my life, just through random conversations with somebody I didn't know that started a relationship and led down the road to now they're talking about buying into this or whatever, vice versa. They're giving me an opportunity to buy into something they're doing. We live in Austin, Texas. It's booming. Opportunities endless. There's jobs all over the place. We got Elon Musk out here. Everybody wants to come
Joe
here.
Rogan.
It's the fastest growing city in America. It already was.
I think it's the world. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
I think it's the world.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like 150 new people move here a day.
Yeah,
it's
insane,
nuts, dude.
It's nuts.
It
you know,
it does suck.
There's pros and cons to it. 100%. I-35 is already bad. They can't figure it out.
Housing. You better get in while you can,
There's
or wait.
Build.
Yeah.
35 and Moped. Well, Moped's always been bad, but now it's like worse.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how it got worse, but it did. But at the same time, the flip side of that is the opportunity's endless, and you can create a platform like this here in the city. If it catches on, it's going to explode. And if it explodes in Austin, Texas, it's going to explode around the world. And so that's where I love it. Obviously, I grew up here. I don't know I'll ever fully leave here, you know?
Yeah,
like,
same.
Even with what I got going out in Arizona or whatever, I will always have a place in Austin.
That's how I feel, too.
It made me, you know, my experiences, who I am as a person, my sense of humor, the way I talk, it's all Austin, Texas. And so I really love this city. I think the opportunities are endless, and I think the people are amazing. I meet someone every day. I do something new every day. I've been here since I was 6 years old. I do something new every day. So I think, you know, not only do we have a chance to bring a platform like here where it's basically headquartered out of Austin, Texas, the logo on the back of our logo is the skyline of Austin. So that's going to be, you know, say Wridz, we flip the game upside down and this thing explodes, Austin, Texas is going to be right there at the heart of it. You're always going to see the skyline of Austin, Texas. So I think that with all that said, that we're in the perfect place to do whatever we want. But you got to work together. You got to come together, and like you said, your energy, it's got to be very good at all times and consistent. Yeah, so you're gonna have high highs and low lows in life, but that consistent energy will go a very, very long way, especially in the peaks.
Yeah,
and valleys.
Oh yeah.
Well, one question I want to ask you: how'd you feel when like football was done for you?
Man, I'll tell you what. I went through a depression when football was done for me. Not just because the sense of football, but I started at 7 years old. That was 10 years of my life where that was everything in my life. And the thing about football, what I think makes it so much harder as opposed to other sports, is you can't lace them up and go to the rec center and play again. You know what I mean? You can join these little semi-pro leagues. There's things you can do, and yet you can go you can go play basketball. We can go run 5-on-5. We can go to the field and play soccer. I can go spar. I can get that. Like, there's other things I can do. You can play baseball. There's all kinds of things you can do. You can't get 11-on-11 in a competitive atmosphere again. You know, it's probably not ever going to happen again that last time you play.
Yeah.
And so I think that the reality of that, you know, not to be too extreme with it, like, I equated it to death. Like, a part of who I was, first part of who I was in my life died. And it happened abruptly in my mind. You know, I probably should have saw it a lot sooner than I did. But in my mind, it ended abruptly. And I went through a season, I still to this day, like, trying to get back in that consistent training like I was back then, to have my body like it was back then. The hardest part about it is I know I'm not going to play. So I think that it's this weird thing. But I still love football more than anything. I talk about it all day. I would say that this year is the least I've ever followed the Dallas Cowboys in the offseason. I think they broke me this time.
This past season?
Yeah.
No, see, that's where you messed up. The expectations got to be down here like me.
That's
you expect little, and
I've watched, in my life, 25 years of life, they've won 3 playoff games. Playoff games, all wild card games.
It like me, it's so much
I've
better.
watched every single game with expectations to win during those 25 years.
With them, and with Texas, the expectations are low. Because I've already been through so much heartbreak in my life.
I'm just a fly on the wall.
I just can't. I can't take it anymore. My heart is just.
I'm broken.
Exactly.
I'm broken. I'm miserable.
Yes. Like,
at least Texas is like I had some unbelievable
experiences.
experiences.
Like they're in the same boat.
Right, but at least I saw Vince Young. I saw greatness.
Yeah,
I saw greatness in all sports.
This is true.
And we've had a terrible decade, the worst decade in program history. So that on top of the Dallas Cowboys, you know, I could go down the list of things that will probably be on my tombstone, starting with Tony Romo dropping that field goal in 06. On and on and on from there. It's like, you know, you'll be dating someone and you'll have a moment and be like, oh my God, why are you so crazy? Why are you doing this? And it's like, when are you going to follow the breadcrumb trail of trauma that I've gone through to realize the psychopath you're trying to talk to? That's all because of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
I'm right there with you on the pain. So, like I said, my expectations are low. From the start of the season to the end of the season, they're low.
I will say this year is the first year of my life. I'll go up to the gym, whatever. People will start talking to me like this is the first year. I'm like, I don't have anything to say.
So last year was the first season for Texas where I just did not care anymore after they lost to OU.
Yeah. See,
after they lost to OU, I just did not care.
You went to the game?
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go this year.
So that was.
I'll probably go again.
The game wise, that was probably one of the most amazing games I've ever been to.
Greatest atmosphere in
the
the world.
Most highest unique. Of highs, the lowest of lows, like through the whole entire game. And like being a spectator at that game, it's not necessarily fun, but it's
experience. The entire experience, the state fair.
But just this past game though.
Yeah.
Like the way it was.
Yeah.
Like
it was.
No matter what kind of fan you are, like at the end of the day, the game was like insane. So it was like a crazy game to experience.
It was the craziest game I've ever been to in my life.
But I couldn't. I was like, I can't. 28 point. I can't.
Yeah, I peaked on the first play.
I can't.
Never in doubt. Never in doubt over here. Never in doubt.
Oh my God! So this past year was the first year where I was like
that game.
I'm not.
I knew it, brother. Just something about y'all. Y'all just aren't built like that. I don't know.
It's a curse.
Basically, after Dak's rookie season, as my expectations were set, there's none anymore.
Why the rookie season?
After the rookie season,
you liked him the rookie season?
No, so I didn't want him to begin with.
Yeah.
I didn't want to draft him, and when we drafted him, I told my dad, I was like, "That's not a good pick. Like he's not going to be that good." And he had a great rookie season, so I think a lot of Cowboy fans still remember that and write that, and that's why they stick with him. But the next season came, he got hurt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he got hurt.
Or his third season.
His fourth season. It was his fourth season. His third season, we went back to the playoffs. That's when we traded for Amari Cooper.
That's right.
Yeah, you're right.
That basically saved his career. that trade and us making it to the playoffs.
Yeah, because he went crazy.
Yeah.
After we got Amari.
What I'll say about Dak on the positive side is where I think people like him, the half the people that do like him. And, in the sports world, it's crazy. There's always a line drawn in the sand now. Like, it's always half and half.
Yeah.
There's no in between. I think the people that love Dak, they love his leadership. I think he does have elite leadership.
He's a good leader. I was going to say that. He's a good leader.
And he's won a lot as opposed to previous quarterbacks.
Yeah, he has won a lot.
Since
Early, too.
Troy Aikman, if you will. Yeah. I think he's won the division 3 times.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
I know. I'm just saying. So he's had some consistency in some areas that matter a lot. Now, on the other side of that, he's paid, what's the deal, 172 with one's like 60 guaranteed, something like that. I might be off on the numbers. And I think right now he's the 3rd highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
He is.
Problem with that, you can't lose to you can't lay an egg in the playoffs. You can't have a stretch of 6 games to end your season where you're inconsistent like that at that pay, and then complain about how Troy Aikman talks about you in the booth. That's my issue with him.
For one, it's Troy Aikman's job. For 2, who cares?
Yeah. See,
and then, for 3, it's like in my opinion, he's so inconsistent. Like, he'll make an insane Aaron Rodgers type throw. Then the next throw will be like 10 yards off. I'm like,
yeah, I struggle. I struggle with a lot of things.
What? And then if you, we have another big Cowboy friend, and me and him going back and forth with Dak. Since he's joined, he considers a playoff team a good team. I don't.
Yeah.
Because there's teams that get into the playoffs that aren't good teams. But including the good teams 100%. That have been to the playoffs, in his words, he's beaten 6 good teams since he's been in the league.
His record against playoff contenders and or playoff teams, division winners, is very poor.
Yep.
His level of play in those games has been very poor.
Yep.
That would be a different, like if you went and looked at his numbers and he was putting up, and I'm not talking garbage time numbers, I'm talking about numbers in general. Passer rating, completion rating. In those games, he struggles. And that's where I struggle, I think, today. Look, athletes are soft. It is what it is. I'm a mental health guy. I'm a big mental health guy. I see the side of where we have social media now and, they can instantly comment on all of our pictures. And they can say, I get that. I get what you're saying, that there's this extreme, that quote-unquote water cooler talk that you used to only have at work. I think Sark was talking about this the other day. You used to only have at work. The athletes would never hear it. I hear what you're coming from on that, where we would go talk, now we can go tweet it. But you can also turn off your notifications. If it bothers you that much, you can also turn off your comments. You can also, we don't need to go and, I have many people that I'll blame for creating this culture, but I think that the culture is so soft, and fan is short for fanatic. If fans care that much and they're that passionate about it, if you're not crossing racial and moral lines with somebody, then you have the right to talk about how he's sorry if you think he's sorry. Yeah, obviously everybody knows that you're not Dak Prescott and you can't throw the ball like Dak Prescott, or you're not Aaron Rodgers and you can't do that. But if I want to call you sorry, that's part of it. That's part of what makes this sport fun. The trash talking, the everything about it. That's what makes fandom fun. Talk about the Texas OU game. You want to see some nastiness, go to a Texas OU game. It gets raw. It's crazy.
I could never go.
I can't do that to myself, bro. That shit give me a heart attack.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's like 110 degrees in the Cotton Bowl. That's like 110,000 years old. They've done no renovations to that place since Doak Walker was running in it. So you add all of that together, there's going to be some brawls. But that's what makes it unique. The hate and all that stuff.
That's sports.
Yeah, it is. It's sports. And sports is supposed to be that. It's supposed to take you away from the world, your job. Nobody likes their 9 to 5. They get their weekend. And you have a Sunday night game where the Cowboys lose. You're already thinking about
the Giants.
You're already thinking about work tomorrow. And, Susie likes the 49ers. And I'm going to have to go hear her. She don't even know what she's talking about. It's, you know how it is. It's like that. And then you got to hear LeBron talk about, you can't talk to me like that. What are you talking about? Like, you come talk to her for me then. Yeah. You come explain it.
Yeah.
Because that's where I'm at with it. And that goes for everybody. That goes for everybody.
That's tough. I kind of, I agree with you, but I don't agree with you when like saying athletes are soft, because at the end of the day, it's like, how hard were you on yourself? Well, now, how hard were you on yourself when you played?
Right.
And then it's like you're hard on yourself, and then you don't meet the expectations that you set for yourself, that the organization set for you, and then as much as for let's just use Dak as an example. You can turn off all the notifications you want. At the end of the day, you still play for the Dallas Cowboys, so you're gonna see it.
There's extremes.
You're
I
gonna
don't
see
think
it.
Dak's too bad. Like, I don't think Dak's too bad about. He doesn't post a lot outside of like his foundations and stuff. So I would exclude him. I'm not gonna say.
Well, I'm just saying as
athlete.
an example, like depending on who you play for, like the Cowboys, I would say you'd probably see it a lot. The Lakers, the Yankees, probably the Longhorns. Like you're gonna see it.
But that
regardless.
comes with that. Like if you are Dak Prescott, you're the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. If you are LeBron James, if you are Tiger Woods or whoever, you know you're gonna get more attention than anybody else in the sport does. That comes with it. There's good and bad. You got to take the pros and cons. I'm not saying you got to be perfect at it. Nobody's ever going to be perfect at it. And I don't think all those people are bad at it. I think Tiger Woods actually flawless, like compared to what he went through. Yeah,
he just doesn't care.
Exactly. I think the way he's handled that is the only way you can handle that. Honesty,
and then just I'm
gonna do what I do now. Yeah. And that's where I'm coming from with it. It's just soft is obviously an extreme statement, but in a sense, not all athletes are the same. There are some that roll with the punches, and there's some that want to play victim, or some that just want people to feel sorry for them. At the end of the day, you know, I get to if I fell at work, I get chewed out for it, and there's nobody there to save me. There's nobody there to go defend me on Twitter. If they did, it wouldn't matter anyways. Yeah. You know, so it's like that's where I think people come from and get upset. And that's not to say that fans don't get out of pocket. They do. It happens. Sure. But that's just, you got to realize there's stupid people in the world that are going to get out of pocket. Like, you can't, you know, always take it, oh, there's one fan that did this. We need to start restricting all fans. Come on, we've been doing this for hundreds of years. I'm not saying there's been times where it's been really, really bad. You can go back to the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, 90s. There was hateful people. And not to say that that doesn't still exist, but me talking about you can't make free throws and you're going to act like, you know, I shot your sister. Like, it's not the same thing.
Off camera, you talked about you going to a Premier League game. How are the fans there?
They will. You were talking about different. Like those fans there will get on the field and fight you. Like I was on the field, basically on the field. Josie Marino was there. Dele Alli was there. They're saying some terrible things. I can't say any of it on here. My mom will watch this. Like it's nuts. But at the same time, they love you at that extreme. So when you're playing well, they're singing songs. You got 60,000 people singing a song in unison. They're very, very passionate. And that's a country where, you know, a lot of them are poor, and that is all they have. And they're going to go to every single game. That was a Tottenham game. Those people are going to walk and go to every single Tottenham game. And they're going to hit the pubs after, and they're going to sing songs even when they lose. They did lose. It was a huge upset in the FA Cup to Norwich. They lost in penalties. And, you know, they were pissed off. They were hot. But they're all celebrating and still singing the Tottenham songs for hours after the game. And so that's the thing. You can get somebody that sends out an angry tweet, if you will, in a moment, or, you know, flips somebody off or does something. I'm not saying it's not foolish. It is foolish, but they're also going to still be there in Game 6, you know.
For sure. With
all the hopes of the world. Like me last night, I was absolutely devastated. Mavs are going to win in 7, though. Like, I was absolutely devastated.
They got blown out.
We got good. Yeah, we looked like the Texas Longhorns. We went 10 minutes without a bucket.
Yeah, they got blown out.
I've never seen anything like it. I have, but not the NBA. Not the NBA. So that was.
So going over there, going to like a Premier League game, seeing that culture, seeing that fan base, seeing that passion, and then going to the games that you have here. Do they like blow us out of the water?
It's way better. Yeah, way better. Just the passion, even the away fans, how they have an away section with security. I've only been to a soccer game. I know they're passionate about boxing as well. Almost to the same extreme.
Like their passion for like soccer across all sports like blows us out of the water.
Yeah. I would just say their passion for their club, like it's like their passion for community. It's not really like that. Like we like all the same teams, basically all Dallas teams and stuff, but that doesn't exist a whole lot anymore, which is fine. But those people have like this passion, like they're going to war for that club every single day. There's people there that their teams have either been at the bottom of the table or
Forever.
they've never even made it into the Premiership.
Yeah.
And they watch every game with passion. They live, London's huge. There's all these different clubs there. They live around the Chelsea fans. They live around the Arsenal fans and the Tottenham fans that have had success. And they've never even made it up to the Premiership, but they'll fight all of them, And it's like it's their team till they die. That's what is unbelievable there. I think the loyalty to what they do, and we're talking about being born Cowboys fans. Those kids out there are born into what they have to support. And
they're not like me. Lose one game to you and just done.
Lose
One game, all right. Next week.
Well, with them, it's like it's cold 9 months a year. They're tough. They're built a little bit different. And then when it warms up, it's still not really warm, to be honest with you.
It's overcast too the whole time and all that stuff.
Raining all the time.
Man.
How is life over there? Is it cool?
I had a great time.
How long were you there?
I was there for 5 days, then I went to France, and then I came back. So I think I spent 7 days in London and 3 in France.
Which was better?
London, easily.
You know what I'm saying?
But just because of the
Shut
fact
up,
that,
bitch.
like,
It's because you don't understand.
you speak the same language,
Exactly.
which helps.
It's easy.
And they like you more in London. Like, they like Americans. They're excited to see Americans. France, it's not necessarily the case. In some areas,
France also isn't as modern as England.
Not
It's
at
very,
all.
it's older. Like they want to keep it like that. Like the
But
same with Italy.
That's what it is. They want
Yeah.
to keep it that way. They don't want it to change. They don't want too many Americans over there. But same time, it was beautiful. I'm glad I experienced it. It was freezing cold.
What'd you go for?
It was a 10-day trip. Yeah, Europe trip. So
Yeah, I told him when I go to Europe, I have to go for like at least a month.
Bro.
I don't think I could do that.
Really?
Maybe.
It's more of like a whole Europe trip. Like
Yeah, you're
everywhere. 'Cause
moving
there's so
around.
many places you can because it's the size of Texas is bigger than Europe.
Right.
So it's like
Right.
there's so many places you can hit. And
Yeah.
So I'm like, I can't just go to like I don't know France for a week and
Right.
then go, for a day and then go somewhere else. I'd rather like at least spend time like 3 days, 4 days in a place.
It's just like if I went there, you'd ideally want to split it up because you have like Northern Europe, so you got like England, Germany, France, then like Norway, all those countries,
Right.
and then you got Southern Europe, you got Greece, Spain, like Italy. So it's like, like you said, it's a lot, bro.
Well, yeah, it is a lot. I'm not the most touristy guy. Like, I am. Like, there's things I definitely do want to see. But, like, the Louvre, for instance, like, I was bored in 10 minutes, and it lasted, like, 10 hours, I felt like. Which, don't get me wrong. Like, the Mona Lisa is, like, not even as big as that picture of Jordan
small.
Shipley. So, I don't know. There's things I really liked. I think that if I did a Europe trip for a month, I would probably want to hit a bunch of sporting events.
Yeah,
Like,
that'd
something
be
in
cool.
England, something in Germany, something, maybe a fight somewhere. I don't know, but I definitely loved it. Like, it wasn't like I had to get back. It was right. I got back 2 days before, like, the country shut down with COVID.
Oh,
So
wow.
I was at the airport leaving London, and that's like a big airport. It's usually pretty populated. It was dead. There was nobody in there. Our flight got delayed like 5 times, so we didn't leave. We were supposed to leave like 7 in the morning. We left at like 7 at night. I remember thinking that day, if we don't get out of this airport, I'm never making it back to America. I was like, I don't know. And then sure enough, we got back and everything was shut down. They shut down flights. Crazy.
I want to go so bad.
It's one you have to. I think you should.
I want to go.
Yeah, I think
I sure want to go.
definitely travel the world outside of like South America. It's so easy to do that here in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, get out of America. It's right there. Yeah, get to Europe. See, it's a different way of living, different way of eating. They're more minimalistic, I would say. Rooms are smaller. There's not a whole lot to it. You're going to be outside doing things, I feel like. I don't feel like people spend too much time at home there, which is a positive. The energy's insane. They're singing songs everywhere you go.
Is it fast?
Very fast. Very, very fast. It's like New York. New York is like London on steroids, I would say. So they move very fast paced, but it's not as big, not as many big buildings, not as many people. Yeah.
Cool. So, I guess transitional phase. I don't know if you want to touch on any of like your other personal stuff, but that's up to you.
Yeah,
but,
that's fine. I can touch on anything.
Yeah. Well, I guess you were married. Previously, and how that went. Just kind of want to hear like your side, or not your side, but
right,
like,
just the
but like
process
just
of
like
what
the
went
process of like what going through that, because I wasn't really talking to you we weren't like talking like that then when you, because I remember I ran into you guys at the Domain and you were like, yeah, bro, I'm getting married, and I was like, for real? And then like I met your ex-wife and stuff.
Yeah.
So just kind of just how was that as a young age, and what was like that transitional shift, like going through all that stuff?
Yeah, I think that I guess I can start from square one on my faith and stuff. Part of me getting married, obviously, I'm a believer that love is a choice. I don't really believe in necessarily destiny of that happening, or you're supposed to have this one person. If that was the case, the divorce rate wouldn't be close to 60%. I think it's a choice. I think it's the hardest thing in the world to do. Got married, I was 23 years old. I just turned 23 years old, and the COVID thing happened. A lot of things happened that were very unfortunate, that led to a lot of divorces. I'm not saying that's why we got divorced. It's not. There's obviously a lot of things that happen. And I want the best for her and her family, but it was a journey I went through in my life, and I'm a big mental health guy. So I had grown up, big suicidal prevention guy, street drug awareness guy, if you will. I've lost people to overdose and stuff like that. And so I think that always had a big impact on my heart, and especially the suicide thing, that I had always, try to dive as deep as I could with people that I knew were in pain or knew were hurting, to see if I could get in there. Like, see what is it that leads you to think you don't want to be around anymore, because everybo's loved, whether you realize it or not. There's someone that loves you. There's someone that not only loves you, that needs you. And then you fast forward, I end up splitting up from my wife August 2021. The divorce is filed within 2 months of that. And so I'm going through the holidays with this extreme change in my life, and a psychologist, and same for her. Psychologists equate divorce to death. I talked about that with the football thing earlier, but they equate divorce to death internally, because it's this thing that you committed your entire life to. You had a vision, a lifetime vision of this, not just a 2-year vision or a dating vision. And so the reality of all that sinking in, you go through a whirlwind of emotions and seasons of how you deal with that. I didn't cope with everything extremely well. And so I would say a little bit after Christmas, I hit probably the most extreme depression I'd ever been in my life. And not just because of the divorce. I think there was a lot of things, but that shift and the embarrassment that I felt. We were both from Georgetown, and there was all these people that knew about it, and maybe drew their conclusion of what could happen and what they think happened. And you're thinking of that yourself. Most people probably don't think that way, but I had a ton of embarrassment and a ton of shame of the situation, and then disappointment. Like, you invited all these people to your wedding, run into you, I tell all these people, this is what I'm doing, I'm getting married, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and shortly after, it's over, and everybody just sees it's over, and I'm kind of off the spectrum. My social media is deleted, all this stuff. I'm like in hiding, and I realized that I was extremely depressed, and that although I would never, ever, ever cross that line and do something to harm myself, I didn't really feel comfortable being around anymore, and I didn't have any confidence in myself anymore. And so I went through a season where I didn't even want to see my family. I didn't want to see cousins. I didn't want to see friends. I stayed out of church. A lot of the things that had molded me into everything I believe in, everything I talk about, I wasn't living any of that out. And so I sought therapy. Big believer in therapy, big believer in being vulnerable. I think that it's easy for us to shell up, especially as men, and I think we should. I'm a very alpha male type of person. I'm a protector. I have 2 sisters that I love dearly. I got 3 nieces that I love dearly, a mom that I love dearly, a grandma, and I always felt like, since I was a little boy, that I need to protect these people at all times. And so with that, I think the flip side of that was showing no weakness and never being weak, which didn't allow myself to be vulnerable. This is what I'm going through, and this could maybe potentially change the outcome of what happened with the marriage or whatever, if you're just more vulnerable. And I learned that. And so being glass half full, the reality of the situation was the reality of the situation. And how are you going to move forward? And so I think that through therapy, through self-reflecting, and through the unconditional and indescribable healing that transcends understanding of Jesus Christ, which I believe in fully, that I was healed. I think that I took my problems to the cross, and I took my problems to mentors in my life, and had some really tough conversations with pastors, with best friends, with Bryson Tucker, with my father, with my sisters, with people that I knew would be honest with me, but people that most importantly told me, you know what, Shonee, I love you, and I'm on your side, and that meant a lot. And so transitioning from that situation, that season of my life, that's where I'm at. I think that whole acknowledging everybody in the room, you really don't know what's going on with somebody 90% of the people I meet and that I know and even work with don't know that I've been through that, which is okay. You know, if I'm comfortable talking about it, I am. If not, I'm not. And it's not something I'm just going to walk in and bring up.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, you know, you don't know how many people I've run into that I just met that are going through the exact same thing or had recently just gone through it. And then you have that connection where you meet and you know you're not alone. And that might be very brief, but it goes a very, very long way. And so I think that what I learned through that season of my life is, one, to be vulnerable, be honest. We live in a world where, unfortunately, things are going to be out there. Yeah. Your life is going to be public. If you choose to be on social media and stuff, things are going to be public. So I think that you should also be aware that your low spots and your failures are going to be publicized. Yeah. So be ready for that. Yeah. And seek help for that and reach out to people that have either been through it or that just love you and want to make sure you're good. So I don't know. I think that I've been through that, and I'm happy to talk about it, happy to answer questions. I'm happy to be there for anybody else that's been through that. Yeah, no,
it's just a good dynamic to hear, because, I mean, it's a weird age in our life. Like, everyone's either in serious relationships, doing the navigating through the dating scene, and how difficult that can be at our age, just because everyone is so scattered sporadically in their 20s, you know, being married. Right. Or just like focusing on yourself, as in your growth, your career, your personal endeavors. So it's one of those things where when you hear like a situation like that, it's just like, to fathom it, you know, from like someone that hasn't been through it, it's just like, geez, like I couldn't imagine. Like you said, it's like a death essentially. Like you expect all this stuff, you know, when you get married, it's for better or worse, like your vows and stuff, like and everyone goes through that, but no one really talks about, like, everyone's so quick to like get into it and stuff. And do you think that was like kind of what you like were quick to jump into that?
I think probably so. I think that, you know, in hindsight, you can look at it in any way. Here's what I'll say, though. I think that, you know, and I'll kind of spin zone this into
absolutely.
That suicidal prevention thing. I think that when you look at suicide numbers, a lot of it's young people getting out of relationships and being alone. I think there was a TikTok girl the other day that's very famous, like 16 years old. And I don't know the background, so I'm not saying it was because of a relationship. But, you know, you have thousands of followers, if not millions of followers, and you feel alone. I think that a lot of times you, as a young person, you fall in love with somebody and you give them everything you have, and you make maybe even financial commitments together and all this stuff. So you feel that that part of you has to be like that forever. If that glue breaks or that yoke breaks, if you will, that you're broken. And it's not the case. You know, it's very understandable that you feel that way. But at the same time, we are so young. You're 16 years old and you're getting out of a relationship. You know, the cliche saying, there's many fish in the sea. There's millions of people out there. And I think that at the end of the day, what I've struggled with and insecurities in my life, not only through that marriage, was the lack of feeling accepted. And so I think with love, not only with somebody else, like a partner, even with a friend, it comes from unconditional acceptance. There's going to be things I love about you. There's going to be things I don't love about you. But I accept those things because I love you. And I think that you should be seeking that out, and that there's not only friends, but there is another girl or guy out there in the world that will accept all of you and love all of you, and that everybody deserves that. So just because one person didn't do that, or it failed for whatever reason, there's a multitude of things that could break up a relationship. And it's very hard to stay with somebody for the rest of your life. Quite frankly, probably more so now than ever.
Yeah. It's so acceptable, you know?
So acceptable.
Which isn't, it's not like unacceptable, but it's just like, oh yeah, like, it's okay. You know?
Yeah.
So.
And I think that it's important to be honest about how you feel about that. If you don't think it's acceptable, then it's really not. That doesn't mean you're not going to go through it. Yeah. But be honest with yourself and your morals and what you truly believe to your core. I think people don't know themselves, and I think people don't have any security in themselves, and they get married, or they get in a serious relationship and you don't even know who you are. So what you're trying to be is you're trying to perform for that person. Yeah. And then when it fails, you think you failed, you didn't perform well enough. Well, it's not you. Do you even know who you are? Yeah. You know, find out who you are as yourself before ever crossing that line. It's easier said than done, especially in today's world. There's a lot of influence to do a lot of stuff like that. But at the same time, we got to keep going, because there's somebody there that needs you to keep going so they can keep going. So don't think of it in the lens of yourself. You have to live this world very selflessly if you're going to make it through the end, because it's hard. And none of us are good. I don't believe that anybody in the world is good. We're all bad, essentially, as opposed to God or whatever is supposed to be good. We're bad.
Yeah.
So together, let's not judge each other. Let's not harm each other. Let's work together so we can make good happen. So our badness, our brokenness could bridge to wholeness if we're together. And that's why I think I got through that season, and I think I'm able to help others going through that season at this stage of my life because of the people and the advice I got, which is essentially what I've articulated talking about this.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good. That's good. That's real good.
I mean, I went through not necessarily the same thing, but like the same thing. Like recently, I was just in a long-term relationship, and it felt like ass after it ended. Yeah. So I mean, I just fell in the depression stage and just had to find who I was. And after, I guess, your divorce and you figured out everything, was a fire relit for you for passion wise, and like you can use it for the company or because that's how it was for me.
Just something to drive you. 100%. I think that's healthy. I think that's healthy in every way imaginable. You have to find something to pick yourself back up, because at the end of the day, one of the other harsh realities is whether it comes from a relationship or something else in our lives, we're gonna hit that depressant state again at some point. So it's not that practice how to be depressed and get out of depressed, because that would just make you depressed all the time. I don't want to do that. But at the same time, there's things, you got to surround yourself with people that make you laugh. Laughing is healing. If you're able to laugh, then you're okay. You're going to be sad again, but if you're able to laugh, you're able to find that inner love, that spirit inside of you that is good and positive. So seek laughter, seek joy, seek fun, and seek something that motivates you, because you're young and you got to pick yourself up off that mat. And you got to work. You got to provide for yourself. You got to keep the lights on. And if that motivation factor, someone broke up with you or vice versa, or something went wrong with somebody like that, and you want to prove them wrong, I think that's healthy, at least for a while in your life. Don't become homicidal. Don't be crazy. But I think that anything that motivates you to wake up and do this podcast, or anything that motivates you to punch that clock and go compete in the world, is healthy. And it's good. Sure. It can bring you out of that pit. And then you're going to get to a place to where, unfortunately, it's still a bad thing, but you're happy it happened. And you're in a better place because it happened. And you're in a place where you've done more soul searching and found out more about yourself than you ever would have if it didn't happen. And you couldn't realize that at the time. And like I said, I believe in God's perfect timing. I think that his timing and the way he views timing is way different than ours. And so, I would have liked that to end instantly. I would have liked, there's times, you say, I wish it would have never happened to begin with, or I wish I would have saw this or saw that or realized this earlier. And yet, at the same time, I don't think I'd be here right now if it didn't happen. I don't think I would have made the progress I have made with Wridz, and just our part of it expanding and doing things of that nature and bringing people on board to be on our team. I found that energy through those valleys, if you will, those low spots in my life. I was able to dive deep and find that. And then a lot of those people were the people that helped me get through it in general when I would break down or whatever. And you got to realize that's going to happen. Just because you have a good day doesn't mean a bad one's not around the corner. You can't run from it either. You can run from it. You can hop up, pack up, leave, start another life, and it's going to happen again, or something's going to happen again. Learn how to deal with your problems, because at the end of the day, they're not going anywhere, and problems in this world aren't going anywhere. But at the same time, I'm not a believer in saying, there's bigger problems in the Ukraine right now, or there's bigger. I see where you're coming from on that, and I see where you're not incorrect on that. But I think as humans, we can only fathom what's going on in our own brain, and not to make yourself a victim, because I don't think that's healthy either. But we also need to meet people in their place where they're at, because they can only fathom what they're thinking.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I think that everything you've been through and everything that anyone that's listening that can relate has been through just needs to know they're not alone in going through that. But at the same time, pick yourself up and keep going. Someone needs you to.
Yeah, bro. Honestly, what's been great about hearing like all that unpacked, and then, helping Carlos kind of go through what he was going through recently. That's kind of the same position for me last year. Mm-hmm. Just, being in a situation where you're like in that, your mindset, you're in something, and then it's not being reciprocated, properly. And then it kind of forces you to it put me in a state like that too. Like I wasn't with the person, but it was more of like I feel like I'm being controlled. Like I'm like doing stuff that's out of character. Like I'm you know, I'm using stuff as a crutch, you know? So it's good to, you know, hear that like you are loved and stuff. And then also too, you find that passion. Like I always tell Carlos, I'm not the person to ever, it's probably a little toxic, but I'm not the person to like block them or anything. I just want them to see me winning, you know, like see me doing well and things like that. But
it's like, and I think a lot of it has to do with that. It's not always the person you can't get over or something, because it could happen outside of relationships. I think that disappointment sucks. I think when you feel you had expectations or something, it could happen with this podcast or anything else. If you feel you're below your expectations, that leads to depression. So I think in general, constantly, even when you're doing very well, work on your mentals. Marshawn Lynch said, you know what I mean? It's like it's constant because you need to sharpen it.
And even having those check-ups with each other, like we had a podcast probably last month or very recently where me and Carlos just talked to each other, and like we hadn't done that we've done it like off camera. So, but it was just more of us just, you know, catching up, chopping it up. Because I mean, honestly, a lot of the time, and I even tell CJ, our boy that does PCT, like he's been struggling with trying to keep like be friend, like do the friends thing, because like you do it with your friends, but. When y'all are recording, like y'all just record and then y'all do whatever, like y'all go home or whatever. Y'all don't do like that actual hanging out, the taking that time to bond, go get some food, drink, whatever. Like just having those checkups with your boys is important, because like men already conceal their feelings, like you said earlier, and don't talk about things that affect them. So making that normalized, and you know, literally just texting Carlos is like, how you been? Like now when I see him, I'm just like, how you doing? Like I just want to know, like, if you're good. And I hope he or you or anyone that I ask that to, and vice versa, I hope I can give you, like, a real answer. Like, if I'm pissed today, like, tell me you're pissed and why, you know? Like, talk about it. So.
100% I'm with you. I can't hide it. You'll see it on my face. So I'm always smiling and stuff. So it's like, I'm not, like, it's like, what's wrong, Shonee? Like, so I can't hide it. I got to be out there.
Transition back to sports. You said you used to box. Do you have a favorite boxer?
Yeah, Roy Jones Jr.
That's not that good.
What about like in today's
Canelo? Yeah, Canelo.
You watched the last fight?
I sure did. Yeah, I did. I think he was heavy. I think it was a hell of a time to switch to a vegan diet. I mean, moving up in weight like that. But first off, Dimitri's timing was on point. He fought a perfect fight. He did a great job using his size, using his length. I think Canelo got tired quick.
What's light heavyweight for boxing?
Light heavyweight is 175, I think.
It's 175 for boxing?
Yeah, 175.
Around 175.
Yeah. I believe it's a 175. I think that's where Andre Ward finished at. So light heavyweight.
I'm a UFC fan.
I'm both.
The UFC is a little bit heavier.
So the UFC, they jump like 10 pounds and they'll jump like 15 pounds. Boxing will have welterweights, you know, super middleweight, junior middleweight, middleweight. It's like 3 per class. It's like junior. Yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot.
What does he typically fight at weight-wise? Around what weight?
So he started, I think he fought Floyd at 140 or 135. And he won at 147, 152, 156, 164, and then he moved up to like heavyweight. He was talking about moving up to heavyweight.
Yeah, crazy.
I think he's been so dominant for so long. I think he's, you know, clearly all due respects to Julio Cesar Chavez, the legend. I think Canelo's the best Mexican boxer of all time. I think he's one of the best boxers of all time. I think he was heading on the way to the top. I think he could still get there. He's got a lot left in him. I think he could beat Dimitri. I just think that he needs to go back to the drawing board, maybe fight down a weight class.
I was saying, do you think light heavyweights too
I think, you know, he has to don't go on a vegan diet. And I'm not saying I'm a genius with nutrition, but you're moving up a weight like that to make an extreme change in your diet. And, you know, I don't know how else he bulked to get there. I don't know what Canelo walks around at. Boxers, it's a lot different. MMA, you got wrestlers and stuff that are traditional weight cutters. Boxers don't typically cut that much. That's why you don't miss weight as much, if ever. So I think he's capable of doing it. I think Eddie Reynoso might be the best trainer in boxing, or he's one of them. And so I think that there's a way to get there. I would go back, fight a couple other people. Fight Charlo. He's been waiting forever. Charlo's earned that fight. Yeah. I love Charlo. Errol Spence Jr. would be like right there behind Canelo. If I wasn't half Mexican, it would probably be Errol Spence Jr., DeSoto, Texas. Love Errol Spence. I love Crawford too, and yet you got to go for the home team. But I think boxing's in a phenomenal place. I think Shakur Stevenson is on his way. I think he'll be pound for pound number 1 in the world one day. I think he's the best out of all the young kids. I think Devin Haney's nice.
Tank fights this weekend too.
Yeah, Cambo said that's going to be a hell of a fight. I think boxing, obviously Tyson Fury, the first heavyweight superstar there's been since the Tyson and Evander Holyfield days. No disrespect to the Klitschko's, but they were boring. I think that Tyson Fury is a superstar. So much fun to watch, so much charisma. Everything about his shows is entertainment. He gets it. And quite frankly, I know it's controversial, but I also know most people don't know boxing. I think he's the best heavyweight there ever was because I don't think anybody could beat him. He's at 6'8". He moves like a welterweight.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You got to realize, people bring up Rocky Marciano. He was like 5'11". Like, even Tyson was small. And Tyson's way down on my list as opposed to where he is on other people's list. But I think that even Ali and guys love him, the legend. At 6'7", 6'8", he moves like that. Like, he's 270. That's why I'm like, I don't think anybody beats him. That's what I mean by that. I'm not saying his legacy is the greatest already. It's pretty damn good. Klitschko was unbeatable for a decade. He dominated him. He's dominant. I think Wilder's the hardest puncher of all time. He walked him down and stopped him twice. He got knocked out dead, rose like the Undertaker, and then beat him twice. I think he'd run through Joshua. I just think his overall who he is, his entertainment aspect of everything.
Where is he from?
Checks all the boxes. He's from England. He's a gypsy though.
Yeah.
So he's like he's a gypsy. That's what he labels himself as. So, but yeah, he's from England. They love him there. I mean, they're singing "There's only one Tyson Fury" down the streets of London all day long. He's a superstar.
I'm a UFC fan. I'm not much of a boxing fan.
Yeah.
So I don't really comment too much about boxing because I'm not gonna come on something I don't really know about like that. So for the Canelo fight, I didn't know if it was a good or a bad loss for him. I didn't know what he fought at. That's why I asked. Because I just compared it to like McGregor, him fighting up at 170. Yeah. Like that's a lot for him, and that's probably like what he walks around at. And when you go from like you put on that much weight, it's not
You'll be
easy.
Bloated. You're gonna be
and you get tired really, 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 really fast because for one, you're not used to fighting like that.
100%.
Two is just the other guy weighs that much, and it's
natural. He's fluid. You're carrying all this weight. Yeah. I think as far as a good loss, bad, I don't think it's a bad loss. It's not good for the legacy just because it wasn't. I think they scored it like 115, 113, something like that. I don't think it was particularly that close.
Was it one-sided? I didn't, because I was watching the UFC fight when it was.
I think it was under control the entire fight.
Yeah.
All 12 rounds. I would say. I'm not saying he won all 12 rounds, but it was under control all 12 rounds. He was never threatened. I think the fact that it was like that, it was so convincing. Because there are guys, and he did dare to be great, if you will, and moving up. But there's guys that like. Manny Pacquiao won in like 8 different weight classes. Roy Jones Jr. won at heavyweight.
That's my dad's favorite fighter.
Floyd went up. He's won in 5 different weight classes. People have done. Andre Ward went up to light heavyweight and beat Kovalev twice. So, that is not to, Canelo's fought Triple G. Canelo's fought killers. He's never run from anybody. He's not scared, and it was a challenge. But I think the loss, there's going to take a lot of big moments and probably beating Dimitri one day to get back to where he was headed.
2 losses?
He has
2 big losses?
But Floyd, he was 21
Yeah,
years old. Nobody's ever looked at that. He was 21.
Yeah.
And so that was the whole thing. Prime Canelo versus Prime Floyd. And I think Canelo hits too hard. His defense is too slick now to get dominated like that. Not saying he would win, but that.
What about Prime Roy Jones and Prime Floyd?
I'd go Roy Jones Jr. I'd go Roy Jones. But Floyd Mayweather, I'm not like that's a biased side of me. Floyd Mayweather
Unbiased
is one
side,
of.
What do you actually think?
Just depends, man. Because look, Roy Jones Jr. dominated James Toney, who defensively, Floyd gives tons of credit for where he's at defensively. One of the greatest defensive boxers of all time. He beat him with ease. He beat Bernard Hopkins with ease. He beat these killers with ease at times where there was no benefit to fighting those guys, and he was running through them. I think it'd be a hell of a fight. I think they fight 10 times. Both of them win. handful of them, but I would go with Roy. Just because Canelo had power. He had a lot of power. He was a savage as a youngster. I mean, what he did to Arturo Gatti was criminal. Diego Corrales just brutalized him. But as he went up in weight, not only did it not carry, but he had the brittle hands and all that stuff. So it's like, when are they fighting? Because Roy Jones Jr. isn't going to fight him at 130.
Mm-hmm.
It would have had to been like the 154 version of Floyd, and I don't think that version could be the 154 version of Roy Jones Jr. What do I know, though?
Hey.
But I like MMA too. I like everything.
How do you feel about the Paul brothers?
I mean, they're doing their thing. I don't blame them. At first, I hated it a lot. I don't think it's bad for boxing. Anything that draws attention to boxing, especially when you're beating MMA guys, I've for a very long time said.
I hate it. Just for me, because
I don't love it.
I mean, who has he beat though? Is my thing.
So that's
He beat a washed MMA fighter. Whoop-de-doo.
He's a
that
Tommy
can't
Fury.
box like that. So that's the thing with Jake Paul. People don't realize he's been training like 5 or 6 years. He has a lot of money, so he's been training in like Wild Card with Freddie Roach and all these great trainers for 5 years consistently. So he can box. He can box as opposed to better than a lot of MMA guys because they're not good boxers. They do everything. MMA, They throw 1 or 2 punches at a time, loopy shots. They throw kicks. They're in more traditional kickboxing people. So for years, it's been this unknown thing, like within boxing gyms and stuff, that the same way, if we get in the cage, except that's not unknown, what's going to happen, you know? But you get in here in the squared circle, and it's just mano a mano. This is a sweet science. Somebody that does nothing but boxing and nothing but punching all the time, not only is our footwork going to be way too good, and we're going to be way better than you, going to hit way harder than you. And so he's cherry-picked everything he's done, and now he's made enough money where he can fight somebody that he knows he'll lose to. Here's what I'll say about Jake Paul, though. He's been in those gyms for 5 years. That means he's sparred some really good amateurs. He's sparred some really good boxers. If he wanted to be a boxer, he'd be calling out some of those guys. He knows. You know what I mean? He's gotten in there for some of the elite amateurs and probably gotten work done to him.
The only boxer he's called out, I think, is
Tommy Fury.
And then also Gervonta Davis.
Yeah, but
Gervonta would knock his head off.
The only thing is,
Absolutely.
he's just a big dude, but he'd still lose.
Yeah, Gervonta would.
Absolutely. I think those are like the only 2 boxers he's called out.
I think he called out Canelo after the.
Yeah.
Canelo would rip his head off too.
Right.
Forever. I wouldn't say forever, but as long as we're alive, I'm gonna say the Mayweather and McGregor fight will be the best boxing MMA fight to happen.
Like you're saying, a boxer.
The crossover.
Yeah, the crossover.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think
Just from the star power and then the
star
hype.
power you can't touch.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, you see the fight alone.
Yeah, Floyd gets it too. I think in the first 3 rounds he only threw 9 punches. He averages over like 100 a round in his career. So I think in general, yes, and I mean they're basically the same person.
Yeah.
On different ends of the spectrum. The way that they've done it, that they sell money, they sell fame, they sell
change both sports.
2 of the best entertainers of all time. I understand that a lot of boxing fans or purists will blame Floyd for drawing attention away from the sports. Well, everybody stayed paying attention to Floyd. His pay-per-view numbers never went down. They went up the entire time. I think what hurt boxing is they didn't have a heavyweight champion that was drawing star power for like a decade. You don't have that. You only have this one guy, Floyd, who everybody hates, and he keeps winning. You know, of course there's going to be frustration. But if there was other stars at the time, there just weren't. Like even Andre Ward is one of my favorite boxers of all time. He's just such a simple guy, such a good guy, such a humble guy.
Chill. Yeah.
He didn't draw that kind of stardom. Oh, in the early 2000s, there were a lot of guys. You had De La Hoya, Roy Jones Jr., you had the heavyweights. It just kind of was there was no depth in boxing for a little bit. Now it's coming back.
That's how the UFC is now.
Right, and
There's so
UFC's
many
Dana
good
White's figured it out. Boxing, you got all these different promoters. It's dirty. It's corrupt. You can't make fights happen. There's too many hands in the pot. He has a league. Now everybody wants to get to that league, and it all runs through him. And people complain about fighter pay and stuff, and yet it's got to be fair. I mean, the top dogs are always happy, and you don't realize boxing, people aren't making money either unless you're a champion. Like, that's the way it goes in this sport. If you're not doing pay-per-view numbers.
It's easier to make money in boxing is because you can fight more in boxing rather than UFC.
Yeah.
With UFC, if you get knocked out, you can't fight for at least 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not even talking to you for at least 6 months,
Mhm.
just because that's the rules. That's what
Mm-hmm.
they do. So like in boxing, if you get knocked out, I'm sure you can have another fight next
Right.
month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah.
That's why like their numbers are 44-0, and he's an amateur.
You're gonna be
yeah.
active.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But you gotta pay a lot of people.
That's too.
So it's like if you're not the main event, I don't know how much you're making. It depends on who you are and who your promoter is. That's the thing. The gold medalist or the silver medalist that signed with Top Rank, like they're gonna be making some dough out the gate because they're gonna have sponsors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's probably where they're making their money from. But if you're not a champion, you still got to pay your trainer, your sparring partners, everybody you brought in, your nutritionist, your strength conditioning guy, all that stuff. At the end of the day, say you take home $10,000 and you don't fight for 3 more months, you know, these guys aren't making even 6 figures a year. You know, so it's like, it's just it's the hurt business. It's a brutal game. Don't seek it for the money, you know, because only a handful of them really get what you're dreaming of getting.
Yeah.
So
And that's why Dana always says, "Don't leave it to the judges."
yeah, he's cold, bro.
Don't leave it to the
He's
judges.
cold.
Cold blooded.
I mean, because there'll be times where he'll say like, "I don't agree with the judges," but I always say, "Don't leave it to the
Yeah,
judges."
simple as that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
Simple
if
as.
you want to win, hey, go win.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, did you watch the UFC fight this past
Oh,
week?
yeah, I did. I watched them both. Yeah, it's the same time. That card,
It was
the Rose fight was terrible.
It was such a good card until that.
I thought so, yeah.
I mean, I guess the overall card was good, but
Yeah.
because my dad was watching because the Canelo fight was on when the Rose fight was on, right?
Right.
And
It,
so
it ended basically when she was walking out. So that was the first fight I watched. They were on both TVs, but I was so focused on Canelo. The first fight I really watched was Rose.
So I told my dad, I was like, I wish I was lying, but there was no action from beginning to end. None.
It's unbelievable.
It was the most boring fight I've ever seen in my life.
It was unbelievable.
That was the most boring UFC fight I've ever seen.
And I just didn't expect it at all.
It was bad. And
But I was all right with the main event. Oliveira's nasty.
I hate that stupid rule, dude.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I hate that. I mean,
I get what you're saying.
you don't make weight half of a pound,
Yeah,
bro. Like
yeah.
what?
No, it's time to move up, though. I think that because that's not his first time, right?
No, it's not his first time. I think it's his third time actually.
Yeah, I think he's missed weight quite a bit.
But I mean, even then, it's like there should be like if you miss it by 5 pounds, okay, we're stripping the title. But
Right,
half
right.
a pound, like what is that gonna do?
I hear you. Yeah,
Like-
100%. Or give him,
Take the
extended
10%
time
of the
for a
purse away.
final.
Not
Yeah,
like take
yeah.
Not take
yeah.
the belt away.
Because he goes out there and he chokes him out like
Dude,
that.
he bullied
He's
him.
the champion.
He bullied him.
And then who are you? He's wanting to fight like Diaz and McGregor right now. Are you gonna put the belt on the line there? You know what I mean? Like
I
not the
don't even
guys
think
want to
McGregor
fight.
should fight anymore.
I don't know.
I don't either.
He don't need for one.
I
he doesn't
I
need
mean,
to. For two,
I can see where he wants to come back, get a win or something like that.
For two, he's just not what he used to.
Yeah,
be.
you don't have the passion, the drive.
You
He
get
doesn't
the
need it,
Marvin
though.
Hagler. Like it's hard to
Yeah.
put in the road work when you're waking up in silk sheets.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's hard. Even the moment I started working, I didn't make millions, but I didn't feel like going and sparring. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's the truth. It's the hurt business. It sucks. Even winning isn't necessarily like you just whoop someone in front of their family and stuff. Like there's
fight once.
you gotta turn cold in that business.
you-
And you start to get a taste of the finer things in life. It's hard to be cold like that.
Like he's fought like once like every year for the past like 2 years, 3 years. and
Yeah.
People are still calling out his name because
That's
they know
where-
that he's gonna get like
Right.
they're gonna
Numbers,
Get their money.
they
Your
get that
life-
money, that
your
purse gonna be
life
nice.
has changed forever.
Yeah.
Hey, go take care of your kids. Do your business.
That's
do
where
all
I
that.
applaud Canelo and Floyd, like for being so disciplined. When you have all the money, the jets. Floyd had like 3 jets. Canelo's stupid money. He has a lot of stuff like it. Married, all this stuff. Like how you stay focused, disciplined, and hungry. Because I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't.
I think Floyd owes the money.
That's like
That-
Tom
that's,
Brady.
I mean,
too.
that's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the money
I think-
team, and like he's
Yeah.
always raving about money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Sometimes might need money.
Facts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's how Floyd.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, even though she's like Tom Brady.
Yeah,
same thing.
same thing.
Same thing.
Like nothing else to prove. Coming back out of retirement because you didn't like how the way you lost when you have 7 rings. That don't even make sense.
I mean, that game was crazy too.
But, do you have anything else left for us?
No, man, I talk too much.
No, I saw good. It's a great
Same
combo.
way.
No,
Great
yeah, I'm
combo.
good.
Same
combo.
way.
I'll
Appreciate
come
you
back
for-
anytime.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of
definitely.
course.
We'll have some
Come
stuff in the
football
works.
season. Do you have any
Right.
predictions on our teams?
No. No, I mean the Cowboys should win the division. They should.
The Eagles are looking kind of
Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
The Eagles
but
look kinda
Jalen Hurts is
nice.
still their quarterback. I think that's where. Here's what I'll say. That's not even take a shot at you or Jalen. Here's what I'll say. We have a $167 million quarterback or whatever it is. The other quarterbacks are all on rookie deals. You got Daniel Jones. You got who's Washington even going to
They
start?
who knows?
You
Yeah.
know, they drafted the
Sam
kid out of
Howell.
North Carolina, Sam Howell.
For me, it's hard with Daniel Jones because, for one, his rookie season, like the coach was
Well, they might have the
horrible.
worst roster in football this year.
that, and then Jason Garrett was his offensive coordinator after
Right.
his rookie season. So
Right.
it's like it does kind of suck for him. Like I feel for him. I get I see why he's not done what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
He's never had the opportunity. Then Saquon's always hurt.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
he has no back or anything. So
I think with us, the Giants might be the worst team in football, so eliminate them. Washington should not compete with us for the division. And then you got Philly. Philly's the most talented team out of all of those, and yet you look at our roster versus their roster right now, they had a phenomenal draft. I think a year from now and stuff, things might be different. I just think that the money we have in a quarterback, we have a quote-unquote franchise quarterback. Our offensive line's not what it was, but we're adding some pieces to it again. Our defense is better than it's been in maybe a decade plus. We should go win that division. If not,
Should is the key word.
if not, blow everything up.
I mean, hey, Dak did lose to the Eagles when they had no receivers, so there's that.
Yeah. But I like the direction of Sark. I like the direction of the Longhorns. Hell of a recruiter, hell of a staff. We need stability. Let it ride. This year, we could win 6 games. We could win 10 games. I don't know. It depends on the offensive line. Can they hold up? I'm not necessarily scared in the Big 12 about them holding up because we had 7 offensive line commitments, 6 of the top 7 players on their board as far as the offensive line structure in the state of Texas. So obviously they're moving in the right direction on the line of scrimmage. But if it's just atrocious, you can't win. So I think that's what it'll come down to. Skill player-wise, Bijan, Xavier Worthy, Nair, Jordan Whittington. You got Troy O'Mary coming back. Jordan Addison might come over.
Jordan Whittington got to,
He's got to stay on the field, drink his whole milk. But
fragile.
Wait a minute, glass.
But
Fucking fragile.
from a skill set outside of Oklahoma, which is the same thing every single year, we should be able to beat everybody in the Big 12. But we'll see.
I wasn't big on the Sark
Quinn
hire.
Ewers can spin that thing.
That defense too is still
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I wasn't big on the Sark hire, but
I like
we'll
him.
see.
He's a cool guy.
we'll
He's
see.
I mean, offensive mastermind. That's it.
Yeah.
Head
Yeah,
coach.
like,
Mm.
see what they're
Offense
gonna do. See
coordinator.
what Gary Patterson turns into. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah,
to
he'll
watch
be
how
interesting.
that
That'll be
plays
an
out.
interesting duo.
It's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out a year from now.
yeah, he's going to be he's head coach in waiting. They've got him on standby. They've got him on standby.
That's what they brought him for. Hey, you're the next one up. We got you. We got you.
Yeah.
But thank you again for pulling up on us,
appreciate
doing the pod, and it was great hearing everything, chopping it up. We'll be connecting more, football season, just because you're like him, you're realistic. I don't really talk shit to Texas fans unless they
Right.
talk crazy to me.
Right,
Then
right.
I gotta start pulling out the receipts. But
Right.
before that, I'll if you're
gonna be
realistic with me,
mean. Yeah,
I'll chop it up. Because hey. It's the sport, like
Yeah.
you just gotta enjoy it. But
Yeah.
thank you for pulling up on us.
I
and,
appreciate it.
It was
Loved
fun,
it.
bro. It was really good. It's good to see you get vulnerable and stuff too.
100%.
Definitely good. And I think what you said will definitely, for someone who listens, it'll definitely hit them in the right direction and get them kind of steered. In the right
100%.
direction.
It's all love, always.
Yeah.
But that'll do it for your boys over here at Opinionated, and we'll catch y'all guys next time. Peace.
Peace.